Dark 9 Radio presents the craziest Bigfoot story you've never heard.
The rain hammered down on the windshield like 1,000 tiny fists insisting on entry. The sky was a dull slate, heavy with cloud, and the trees outside leaned in like sentinels hiding secrets in their shadows. This town was the kind of place where the world seemed to forget itself. A forgotten patch of the Pacific Northwest, where logging trucks still rumbled along cracked roads and the mist never quite lifted. Ethan had passed through on his way to the next supposed hotspot of cryptid sightings, a place where legends still breathed under the canopy. But his stop was tactical. He needed a break, a warm meal, and maybe a story worth peeling apart on camera. The bar was called the Hollow Pine, a squat, weather-beaten building that smelled of spilled beer and old smoke. Inside, the light was low and yellow, the walls plastered with faded photos of fishing trophies and half-forgotten local heroes. It wasn't much, but it was a refuge. Ethan pushed the door open, the bell clanged above like a warning. The chatter dipped for a moment, then resumed in murmurs and low laughter. He ordered a whiskey, neat, and found a corner seat where the world's eyes couldn't quite reach him. His camera bag lay heavy at his feet. To most, Ethan was a voice of reason in a wilderness of nonsense. An investigative journalist turned independent content creator. He wielded skepticism like a scalpel. His YouTube channel had become a beacon for those tired of myths and lies, peeling back the layers of the paranormal with calm, articulate dissection. He debunked Area 51 testimony with a surgeon's precision, unraveled Roswell's UFO crash stories, exposed fake exorcisms, and laughed off haunted house stories with a knowing smile. He was nursing his whiskey when the voice drifted over, a low, measured tone. Not the braggart howl of a drunk, but the quiet, deliberate voice of someone who carried weight. Ethan's head tilted slightly towards the booth, where a man sat with two friends. He was mid-50s, with a military haircut that had gone gray, and the kind of face you trusted without question. A doctor, Ethan later learned, ex-military. His words were careful, almost reluctant. "I was hunting alone that night," the doctor said. "Had the scope out. Thermal, maybe night vision, I don't remember. I saw something. It was big. Not a bear. Not a man." The bar quieted as if the room itself leaned closer to catch the story. Broad chest, powerful limbs, tall as hell. Watched me for a long minute, then turned and walked away. No fear, it was in no hurry. The doctor didn't flinch, didn't fumble for the right words. He spoke like a man reporting a car crash, brutal, burned into memory. "It wasn't a bear," he said. "It stood up, it watched me through the scope, like it knew me." He never said Bigfoot, but the name hung there, thick as smoke. Ethan saw his chance when the man stepped outside. The night was thick with mist, the scent of pine and wet earth heavy on the breeze. Ethan approached with the casual confidence that masked the eagerness pulsing beneath his calm exterior. "Doctor, I couldn't help overhearing your story inside. If it's true, it's important. I'd like to know more, if you're willing." The man's eyes narrowed, a flicker of wariness crossing his features. "I don't tell this story lightly. Not to strangers. It's not just talk. It's something I saw that night. Something real. Something that unsettled me in ways I'm still unpacking. You understand?" Ethan nodded slowly. "I get it. I don't want to sensationalize or spread fear. I just want facts, the truth. And if you're worried about your name getting out, I won't use it. I just want to know what you saw. The exact location, if you don't mind." The doctor looked away, biting his lip, the weight of the memory pressing on him. After a long moment, he exhaled slowly. "Fine, but you keep my name out of it. I don't want my reputation dragged through the mud." Ethan nodded, already fishing a pen from his bag and flipping open a worn notebook. The doctor spoke slowly, giving the latitude and longitude. Ethan wrote it all down, numbers, landmarks, a narrow turnoff, a forgotten road, and a ridge past a dry creek bed. "That's where I saw it. I won't go back. Too many questions I don't want answered." His voice dropped, haunted. "If you go, be armed and be careful." Ethan would be careful, but he wouldn't bring a gun. He never did. He told himself it wasn't necessary. Violence wasn't the answer, never had been. That's what he believed. That's what he needed to believe. The doctor turned without another word and walked off, hunched and hollow. The night closed around Ethan like a promise and a warning. He'd driven his hybrid Camry as far as the narrow forest road would let him, which turned out to be a gravel rut flanked by trees. From there, it was all damp needles, lichen-slick roots, and the kind of mud that made him question his life choices. For miles, he hiked in alone, backpack bouncing, camera rig swinging, a man on a mission, sure, but one who brought trail mix, not bullets. Ethan didn't believe in violence, not for bears, not for burglars, and not for Bigfoot. He once broke up a bar fight with nothing but logic and a coupon for half-off buffalo wings. That's just who he was. By dusk, he'd pitched his little nylon coffin of a tent beneath a pine tree that looked like it had been struck by lightning and then politely asked to leave the premises. He planted the tripod in a patch of semi-level earth and pointed the lens at the woods like it might catch a secret the trees had forgotten they were keeping. "Day one," he said into the microphone. "One reluctant doctor, one cryptic warning, and me, armed with hope and caffeine." He zipped up his coat and squinted into the trees, half hoping to catch a flash of eyeshine, a footprint, a mossy blur in the shadows. What he got was wind, and a squirrel chucking pine cone grenades from above like it had a vendetta. Hours passed as the cold settled into his bones. With a sigh, he flicked on the night vision monocular, watching the world turn into a grainy VHS nightmare from 1987. Everything looked like a ghost with bad reception. Just one last sweep, he thought, more out of duty than faith. Then he saw something. Movement, quick, sharp, right at the tree line, too fast to register. He repositioned, scanned again, nothing. But his heartbeat said otherwise. It whispered, "Look again. And this time, don't blink." At first, Ethan thought it was just the wind, a branch swaying in the green monochrome of the scope. But then it crawled. Pale and naked, limbs like wire, too long, too flexible. And it was in no hurry. He squinted, pulse pounding in his throat. The image flickered slightly as he adjusted the scope. Not an animal, definitely not Bigfoot. The arms bent wrong. The legs looked like they'd been pulled from a child's sketch of a person, spindly and segmented and grotesquely jointed. Its back arched unnaturally high as it moved, vertebrae shifting like knuckles cracking. Too small for a grown man, too big to be a child. The trees clawed at the edges of Ethan's vision, limbs and underbrush slicing the creature's path into a broken, jittering blur. Then, it vanished. "Damn it," he whispered. But even that sound felt like a trespass. He listened. The forest had gone still. Then came the smell. Faint. It sat just behind his nose, metallic and sickly sweet. Beneath it, something worse. The unmistakable reek of rot. Not fresh death, old rot, like roadkill cooked under the sun and forgotten. He turned slowly, the hunting scope heavy in his grip. It felt suddenly useless. Now he wished there was a rifle beneath it. Something that could bark back. The night vision cast everything and washed out green, but his mind filled in the blanks. The shadows moved like they were breathing. His ears strained to make sense of the silence. Then, a creak. To the right. Or was it behind? He turned. Heartbeat hammering. Searching the scope's lens for a sign, a shape, a hint of movement. Nothing. He pivoted back, and his world exploded. There it was, staring back at him. Dead center in his field of view. No creeping this time, no obscure angles, just there. Its face filled the glass, eyes like polished black stones, too big for the skull, too wet, reflecting the faintest glimmer of moonlight. No eyelids, just raw, staring orbs that seemed to pull light into them. Its grin split the bottom half of its face, a wide, awful crescent, not playful, not angry. It was enjoying this. And then, as if it had been waiting for this exact moment, the mouth opened. Not fast, not lunging, just slow and deliberate. Rows of teeth, not just top and bottom, but lining the sides of its mouth too, as if evolution had kept adding more, triangular, serrated, and sharp as hell. There was no thought, no plan, just raw animal panic firing through his spine. The night vision scope slipped from his hands and hit the dirt with a brittle clatter, forgotten. His heart thrashed in his chest like a bat sealed inside a mailbox. And then he ran. Branches whipped his cheeks like switches, clawed at his jacket. Roots curled up from the earth like bony fingers, snaring at his boots, trying to pull him down into the cold, mossy dark. He didn't stop. Couldn't. He didn't look back, because the lizard part of his brain, the old part that still remembered saber-tooths and shadows with teeth, wouldn't let him look back. Ethan's lungs burned and his legs screamed, but the forest had swallowed his landmarks whole. His car, his only tether to sanity and escape, was nowhere to be found. For all he knew, he was running in circles, spinning deeper into the belly of this living nightmare. His breath became ragged, but still he pushed. The creature was behind him, close enough for Ethan to hear the snap of twigs and the rustle of dead leaves under its long, unnatural limbs. Then the sounds faded, or maybe it was toying with him. Either way, the game wouldn't last. Ethan knew it. His muscles started to cramp, each step heavier, his boots barely clearing roots and rocks. The weight of exhaustion settled on him like a second skin. Finally, his knees buckled, his body folding like a broken chair. He hit the ground hard, air whooshing from his lungs. For a long, suspended moment, there was nothing but the beating of his heart, a frantic drum in the silence. But then, the thing was on him, cold, heavy, impossible. It pinned him to the forest floor with strength that crushed every protest before they even formed. His body betrayed him, locked in place by a paralysis sharper than fear itself. No fight, no flight, only frozen terror. The creature loomed above, its grin widening into something cruel and monstrous, teeth jagged like shards of broken glass catching what little moonlight filtered through the trees. Then slowly, impossibly, it leaned in, fangs bared, a silent promise of pain. Ethan lay on his back looking into the eyes of evil, chest heaving, the world around him swimming in shadows. Shapes bled into one another like a twisted watercolor. Still paralyzed with fear, Ethan sensed another presence. Above him, a blurred, towering mass of muscle and fur had appeared. The blow landed on the demon's chest with a bone-shattering thud, sending the creature flying backward through the air, slamming it into a tree with a sickening crack. A jagged, broken branch jutted out of the demon like a spear. Its hideous scream ripped through the night, raw and guttural, a sickening wail from the pits of hell. Ethan's eyes burned as the creature twisted its grotesque body at impossible angles, black blood bubbling where wood pierced flesh. And still, despite the agony, the demon's grin stayed wide, cruel, and unbroken, eyes still locked on Ethan. Ethan passed out before he ever got a good look at the thing that saved him. The last thing he saw was a blur of fur and muscle, a shape outlined in moonlight like something carved from an old myth. Then darkness. When he came to, he was lying on a dirt trail, dry, flat, and worn with footprints, no more than 50 yards from where he had parked his Camry. The sun was just beginning to peek over the horizon, washing the forest in warm light that felt foreign after the cold blackness of the night. All of his gear was gone. Cameras, lights, tripods, spare batteries, the microphone shaped like a gray puffball, gone. Every shred of footage erased like it had never existed. Just the clothes on his back, his wallet, and his car keys remained. No proof he had ever run for his life, been pinned by a demon, then saved by what he could only describe as the legendary Bigfoot. The woods were quiet now, peaceful even. Birds chirped like they had been doing it forever. The wind shifted the branches in slow, lazy arcs. Nothing moved, nothing watched. He walked to the Camry, his stupid, silent little hybrid, and climbed in. The seat was cool against his back. The engine hummed to life without drama. As he eased back onto the winding road, dust curling in the rearview mirror like smoke from a dying fire, Ethan told himself none of it was real. It couldn't be. He didn't feel lucky. He felt hollow, like something had been scooped out of him and left in those woods to rot. He kept thinking about the footage, gone, all of it. Cameras too, like it never happened. He could tell the story, upload a video, the night something saved me, or maybe I met Bigfoot and he killed a demon. It would get clicks, probably 1 million views in a week. He thought about the comment section, believers telling their own stories, skeptics calling him a fraud, and keyboard warriors tearing each other apart over what was real and what wasn't. Ethan decided to let this one go. He let it be his secret.